What's up, everybody? It's your boy, JT, the Chrysler Super Tech, Master Tech, or whatever you want to call me, ASC, Master Tech, all that stuff, especially on the Chrysler Dodge Jeep product. Now look, man, I just left out of the studio, right? Music studio. Some of y'all know I do music and all that other stuff too, so, you know, don't ignore all this. I just threw on my mechanic jacket because I had to get this video done right away. You know, if you living one of those fast life, busy life, you checking your email and all this stuff, you come across some things that strikes you, you know, a certain way. So anyway, I just left out of the studio, so I decided to check my email. And anyway, I got this one email from this lady dogging me out. She ain't really dogging me out, but she made a good point. She said I watches all your videos, and I appreciate that. I really do. She said, I watches your videos. I got a PT Cruiser, of course, so you see where this is going. It's about PT Cruisers, if you didn't know already. One of her beef was, she said I discuss everything, I talk about everything on that car except the transmission. So I put on my mechanic jacket, I'm going to mechanic mode. So when I come back, I'm gonna discuss the automatic transmission inside the PT Cruiser when I get back. All right, I'm back. Now, as I was saying, first of all, ain't much to talk about when it comes to automatic transmission on this car. There's not many options. Well, there's basically only two options. You either get the automatic transmission or the manual transmission. In this case, she was talking about her automatic transmission. She was wondering why I don't do any discussion on that. So here you go, Miss Lady. I go for it. Thanks a lot, Sharon. I'm sure you don't mind me calling your name, but let's get right into it. Like I say, this car came out in 2001 and hung around to at least 2012 in some markets. In the USA, I think they stopped at 10. But for the most part, during that complete duration, there was only one automatic transmission in this car, and it's called the A604. That's the prior name. That's what it used to be called. Now it's the 41TE, which is basically the same thing. 41TE means it's a 4-speed automatic transmission, torque rating of 1. T is for transverse, and E is for electronic. So it's a 41TE transmission. Now, there's not much maintenance or not much you can do to this transmission yourself, except a transmission service. Get the transmission service. Now, I think the owner's manual says every 60,000 miles you should get the transmission service. I'm gonna check that again, but normally people go in for their full maintenance every 30,000 miles. So if you're in every 30,000 miles, you might as well go ahead and get your transmission service. Now, during that time, there's many versions of transmission service out there nowadays. I mean, the aftermarket industry is saturated with different versions of transmission service versus transmission flush. And I don't want to get into that too deeply in this video. So we're going to talk about transmission service. The only transmission fluid you should be using in this car or in this transmission is the 7176, you know, the ATF plus 4. ATF plus 4, that's the only transmission fluid Chrysler recommend for the A604 41TE transmission. Do not, I repeat, do not put Dextron or any of that aftermarket stuff in this transmission. No, it will probably fail. Most likely it would fail. I don't know what, Chrysler has some special, you know, fluid designed for their transmission. My advice to you is use the ATF plus 4 transmission fluid made by Chrysler. Now again, I'm gonna talk about the service on this transmission. The service, all you're doing is taking the pan off, replacing the filter, putting the pan back on, and filling it with fluid. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Because when you go back on with the pan, we want to use RTV. RTV, no gasket. Please do not put a gasket on this transmission. It will leak. The cork gasket, the rubber gasket, it don't matter what kind of gasket it is. They all tend to leak. Every time one come in the shop, I let it up in the air. I got a transmission leak because there's a gasket on it. This car calls for RTV. So when you put the filter on, clean your pan off of all the old RTV, put on new RTV, and simply put it back up and tighten all your bolts and seal it back up. Now, that's a transmission service. But keep in mind, you're only removing about between 4 and 5, maybe 6 quarts of fluid out of it during that procedure. So you're left with maybe 6, 7 quarts inside the transmission, which is probably dirty. So basically what you're doing is mixing old fluid with new fluid. Now, the way around that is do what we call a flush. Now, again, there's different variation of flushes, but the principle remains. The objective of a flush is to remove all the old transmission fluid, all of it, and go back in with new transmission fluid. You don't want to mix the old with the new. If you're doing a flush, you shouldn't mix the old with the new. I mean, like I say, you want to get all the old transmission fluid out of it and go back in with new transmission fluid. That's called a transmission flush. To me, that's a better way, but most guys do not even bother to drop the pan when they do a flush, which means the same filter stays in there. Now, during my whole 20 plus years of working on Chrysler products, I think I've overhauled at least 4 41TE transmissions that was attached to the PT Cruiser. You know, first of all, people not doing much pulling with the car, so the chances of it overheating is slim. But, like I said, with anything, you know, material breakdown, clutch material breakdown, where all that stuff is going to wind up at, it's the filter. So, the best way to service your transmission is to do a flush/service. Meaning, get in there, get the filter out, change the filter, and still go ahead on with a flush. That way you will have completely changed the filter and you're getting all your old fluid out, going back in with new fluid. I mean, that would probably be a lot expensive. Or you can split it in half. One service, do the transmission service, one 30K or 60K, whichever one you're gonna do the transmission service, and the next one do the flush. You can do it that way. That way you have a peace of mind knowing you changed that filter, you know, 30,000 miles ago. So I'm trying not to contradict myself, but that transmission inside the PT Cruiser, the automatic transmission, is only one. There's no options. You're only gonna get the 41TE A604 4-speed automatic transmission. And it will last forever if you keep it serviced. Like I say, the whole 20 years working on Chrysler product, I've only overhauled 4 in the PT Cruiser. So that should keep you moving, man. Like I told you, I'm gonna give you the information to help this car go for a long time. So that's one piece of good advice you now have at your disposal. Keep your transmission service, man. A lot of people just get in their car, crank it up, and go. I mean, oil changes every 3,000 miles. You know, that's fine and dandy, but people always seem to neglect when the transmission service should be done. That's just as important as changing your oil. All right, that's all I got on that. Like I say, get that transmission either service or flush. If the fluid is black, dark, you know, deteriorated, I'd recommend getting it flush. If it's just, you know, still semi-colored red, high red, you know, you probably can get away with a service. But the goal in a service is different than a flush. The service, we're really going to get that filter out of there, but we're only going in with maybe 5-6 quarts of transmission fluid. The flush, the goal is to get all the old transmission fluid out and go in with brand new transmission fluid, which probably amount to about 12 quarts. But we're not changing the filter. So weigh your options there, see which way you want to go. But that's all I got, man, on that transmission. That transmission made it still. Now, like I say, this car came out in 01 to 10 in the US. There's maybe like 2 recalls on this transmission, and they pretty simple 2 recalls, and I'm gonna go over that in a separate video. I'm gonna tell you what those are about, because it might apply to your car. I don't know. Recalls are lifetime, so they could apply to your car 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Chrysler still has to honor it. So I'm gonna let you know what those recalls is pertaining to the automatic transmission on the PT Cruiser. The car came out in 01 through 10 in the USA. All right, let's keep that transmission rolling, baby. I gotta go to the next video. Remember, man, don't be like Sharon. Sorry to call you out, Sharon, but if you got a question or something that's bothering you or something you want to know about, leave it in the comment section, man. Keep in mind, there's only so much I can say and talk about and show you because I'm dealing with this conflict of interest thing with my job. You know, I got to be careful what I say, and I definitely can't go under the hood and show you everything. But you know, I can give you as much information, especially on the PT Cruiser, because they gradually, you know, phasing out. We was done with that car in 10, so. You know, I don't mind giving out some information, man. You got a question, leave it in the comment section below. I'll try to the best of my knowledge and help you getting you back on the road. All right, that's it, man. JT, comment, subscribe, and if you got any questions, leave them below. Thanks for watching. And we're gonna talk about